I was accountable for my word
because you're a man of integrity.
because I'm a man of integrity. And as young men, they need to understand that. Young women
It's
need to
not just
understand
it's
that.
not just
People,
young. It's not just young.
correct. That's Jamal again, excelling in the Xhale Lounge. This segment is going to be talking about accountability, not just in relationships, men to men, men to family, men to whomever. Taking accountability for your words, your actions, your thoughts. Today, we had prayers, we got P, we got December, and we got June. Today, I want to talk about accountability because, for instance, I had a situation this past weekend, and I'm 44 years old, and I'm always going to stand on if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it. So I had this situation where, not a friend, but someone I have a relationship with, and we all have nicknames, right? And he was in mixed company, and when we around men or amongst a smaller circle, we refer to him as white boy.
Right.
Not reading the room, not having malice in my heart, but I was trying to get his attention, and I said, "Yo, white boy," right? Him being in a mixed community or mixed
Company.
company. Thank you, December. He took offense to that, regardless what my intent was, which was completely harmless, right? So he said his words. I then took it upon myself to understand that. And afterwards, I approached him, pulled him to the side, apologized to him for what he took it as, reiterated that there was no malice in my heart, there was
Right.
no ill intent in my saying, but I understood when you're communicating, you have to not be concerned or be headstrong on what the delivery is, but
Right.
how the recipient takes whatever you say, right? So I pulled him to the side, apologized to him for how he took it, and
Mm.
said, "Hey, just want you to know, it was no malice in my heart in referring to you as that nickname that is often referred to him as," and he appreciated that,
Okay.
right? And I feel that young men, they don't understand communication in a way where you have to understand that the recipient, no matter what is said or how it's said or how it's delivered, that person who receives that message
Mm-hmm.
can take it a whole different way, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And in that space, I could have been like, "The fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I didn't. I took it upon myself to say, "Hey, what I said at that time, at that place, offended him."
Right.
And I was accountable for my word
Because you're a man of integrity.
because I'm a man of integrity. And
Right.
as young men, they need to understand that. Young women
It's
need to
not just
understand
it's
that.
not just
People,
young. It's not just young.
correct. But this audience, this purpose of this platform is to give young men who we hope will look up to that average man if they don't have, fatherly figures or positive role models
Right.
in
Absolutely.
their life, to understand that there's
Mm.
men or women that take accountability for their actions or their words, right? And that can change the trajectory of that situation
Or the relationship.
or the relationship, right? I could have internalized that, been like, "What the fuck is wrong with him?" And been dead with
Yeah.
it, and we wouldn't be speaking today,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But the next time I saw him, he dapped me up because he understood
Yeah.
and received that I was accountable,
And he appreciated
and he appreciated
appreciate
that
it
I
too.
was accountable for my words, whether
Which was
right,
good.
wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah, that was good.
But he understood. So that's what I want to talk about today is accountability, right? When you're communicating with someone, it's very important to understand that they receive it how they receive it, and you can't be responsible for how you can't change how they receive your message.
But you know what's so funny about that? I look at it like you have to understand the people that you're dealing with. especially if you have a friendship or you're an acquaintance with them and you know how they are just in regular conversation. I think it's like when you say something to somebody, you almost got to predict how you think they may receive it. In that situation that you was in, you was probably in a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was just trying to get his attention.
Yeah.
Harmless.
Yeah.
But in a regular sense, it's kind of like when you say something to somebody, we all got friends that say the most craziest stuff.
Like you.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
You be
Hey.
like that big back.
Hey, we've all done some stuff. I can't speak for you, but
Oh,
but yeah, I just think that we have to be as people uh, for us right now, men, to try to have the best delivery to whatever situation we try to get that to be delivered, and it's we want to say it, and I practice this a lot. You know, on past relationships, I would always try to say something when they don't receive it, and I'm like, hold on, let me say it a different way.
Yeah.
I'll try three different ways. My thing is always three because I try to take myself and look at a third person. How would they look at it if they just walked up? So I'm always first person, second person, and third person
Yeah.
because so and if they don't get it, then they just doing it to not accept it at all, just because they may be in their feelings about something.
Yeah.
Right.
But we got to be in tune with those feelings.
Right.
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 And you got to be receptive that regardless how you said it, even if you said it in first, second, or third person, whatever they're going through that day can change the narrative how they receive
Yeah.
that message.
And it might not be you. It might be
Correct.
something they going
Correct.
through, and it's just like
And
anything
that's
else.
where you got to be accountable for that, right?
Right.
Despite what they said, even if you call them the same name 30 times, 30 different days,
Right.
that one day they
Could be
could
that
just
day.
be in there having a bad
Be
day
that day.
and they receive it in a derogatory manner. And you got to be big enough, mature enough to say, you know what? I apologize if that offended you,
Absolutely.
but just know that was no ill intent because emotions can change something, right?
All day.
You can say something to the wrong person and that quick emotion can make things go from bad to worse.
Absolutely.
Right? So being accountable will change that narrative or that outcome that day, that second, that month later. And that's what's so important is for people to be accountable for their recipient, how they receive a message.
And doing what you did was commendable, and you made it a point at that particular time not to have resentment from him, to
Absolutely.
resent it like, man, he did this, and whatever the case was,
Absolutely.
you hit it head on in a respectful way.
Yeah.
And I think we all as people need to take from that and really come at every situation like that. Whether it's brotherhood, whether it's relationships with our significant others, or whether it's people even at work. You know what I'm saying? Because anything can happen, and sometimes we just moving so fast, we're not thinking about it at that time. But once they give you the reaction,
Yeah.
then you could like, oh man, I see it now.
Yeah.
I see it now, but we didn't see it at first.
Yeah.
So as long as we attack it up front, and do what's right by the person, because everybody got feelings about something. Some
Yeah.
people react more than others.
Yeah. And depending on the audience, right?
Yeah.
People jump out there. You could be in a club.
Yeah.
You can bump into
But-
to a man, not intentionally,
Yeah.
but depending on his audience, he's
Yeah.
gonna jump at you. It takes 2 seconds to say, "Yo, my bad,"
And I
because
think-
if you don't, he's gonna hold on to that situation, and something can escalate at the end of the night when all it took was my bad.
Right.
And I think it happens more when it's more people around.
That's why I said
When it's
depending
when
on
it's
the
a one-on-one
audience.
thing, even
Yeah.
if you say something, they're not gonna take it the same way as the audience looking. It's like people joking around. Like I work with people, they're always joking around, and in my mind, it's like they want me to be the butt of their joke, but I'm not the person that feed into that type of stuff. Because now I just look, I just look, and just like,
I got a buddy of mine that's like that now, man, and I got a couple of guys that really won't come around because of him, because it's certain things he say. You know what I mean?
and
I
it's your
know-
friend.
Yes. I know it's no ill intent.
But because you know both sides, you're the middleman. You got to say, hey,
Involved with that.
it may be your responsibility if you want to mend that situation to
I
say,
had to.
hey,
I had so
I've
what
had
I
to
had
do
to
that
do
too.
was yeah, because I had to one guy I had to let him know he's a jokester, right? But I understand you don't like that, he's the type of person that he'll just up and just say, look, man, let me explain something to you. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he hadn't jumped out there like that because of the respect he has for me.
Right.
So it's my job to say, bro, like certain things you do, certain things you say, you know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to say. But
I understand. I've been in your position too.
you know what I mean? But you can't just do that all the time with people that you don't even know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't want to be in a situation where I gotta stop somebody from
Gotcha. Make a
from,
decision.
from jumping
being-
on
for-
your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, just don't put me in that situation. Not saying I can control it, but I'm just saying, just don't put me in that situation because one of the other guys, he won't even come holler at me because of that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is not that guy,
Yeah.
And then when you say something to
the other person.
what is the response? What is the
Oh man, I mean, I'm just being me. I'm just like, bro, you can't do
sometimes
that with
being you
everybody.
ain't always a good thing.
No.
You
So
know what I
I
mean?
just want to put out there for people who don't know, like, what is actually accountability, right? So I pulled it up. It says accountability means taking responsibility for your actions, decisions, and their outcome, whether the results are good and bad. The key parts of this is ownership, meaning no deflecting or blame, follow through. That means actions to match your words, transparency, meaning being honest about the progress and mistakes and consequences, accepting the results and learning from them. You know what I mean? Just as a base, so we all,
Know what's
you
happening.
know what's happening.
That's on point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so important. You're right.
I mean, anytime I do something wrong, if Jamal checked me on something of December, we talk about it. We men, we're like family. You feel me? So, I respect my friend group, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You know what I'm saying? I think it should be like that because when you don't do it,
And you should be able to check your homies.
no,
You know,
right.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
So
I'm saying,
in the
yeah.
case with maybe you and these individuals, hopefully, you said they have respect for you, right?
Right.
Maybe the guy that's the guy that's more wilding out, maybe it's definitely a one-on-one with, just say, read the room better. Like what Jamal was saying, like, he didn't do it as ill will. This other guy, I don't know him, I don't know the situation, but maybe if you just say, hey, like, give him some pointers because maybe you're more seasoned, maybe you're more mature than him. And I think maturity plays a factor. And then maybe the people that he's hanging around are the same way. So he might be pulling that energy from all the people that's like him, and everybody don't like that. That's why, like, if I'm at work, I don't really try to play around a lot. I
Right.
try to stay away, and I would tell anybody I work with, like, work is for work. It's not for really playing. You can have a joke here and there, but not on some always trying to down somebody in a jokingly way in front of a bunch of people.
Right.
That's not cool.
Because honestly, when people do that, that's how they genuinely feel. A lot of people make jokes and try to downplay it. A lot of people try to take the truth and downplay it as jokes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I feel that.
to soften the blow.
Yeah.
And sometimes people fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And,
In the worst
and it comes
way.
with insecurities about
Yeah.
themselves,
Yeah.
right? They're insecure with whatever that subject is, with that whatever that discussion is, and because of that, they try to joke with you, right?
Absolutely.
And again, you got to be accountable for your own words, for your own
I
actions.
just think a lot of people just don't see themselves.
They don't.
You know what I mean?
Where they see themselves, but they see themselves differently than
We do.
we do. And that's all of us.
Yeah.
We might look at ourselves in the mirror as one way, but you ask your friend group, they might look at you different.
Right,
if you had one word, if we had one word to describe our friends,
Right.
I bet you it might not be the word that they're thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand?
Absolutely.
And your friend's
Absolutely.
going to have a different word for you,
No, that's what I'm
depending
saying.
on your relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that part too.
So, You got to choose your friends wisely, right?
Yeah, you got to. That's a definite.
So if somebody wronged you in a public setting, how do we, or that's all of us, how do we bring it up to them? What is the best, form to bring it up to them?
I think as a gentleman, you know what I mean, in a gentleman way, just put them to the side. Especially if we're around people.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not trying to be the dickhead of the crowd or
Yeah.
trying to be an embarrassing one. I think just pull that person to the side, say, hey man, just explain to them, the do's and the don'ts and what they, how they made you feel, and I just don't rock like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just please, man, can you not do that no more? You know what I mean? Or whatever they did. You know what I mean? Just in a gentleman way, because everybody don't take things
Same way.
Same way.
the same
I
way.
think everybody get offended.
Yeah.
You got some people that get more offended than others, and some people are more.
Especially if they feel like what they did or said wasn't.
Disrespectful.
Because you got different friend groups, right? I got some friends I can be like, yo, shut your bitch ass up, right? And that's just how we
That's
joke.
what they do.
You know what I'm saying? And then I got other friend groups. You can't talk like that. You know what I mean? But we know it's not going past that. You know,
Right.
you just gotta know the audience and what you doing.
Because it's funny you say that like that because
Yo, I can hear it right now.
me and my cousin, we talk like that to each other,
Yeah.
right? But it's no ill feelings. We don't mean them. We've been doing that since we was fucking
But you
kids.
doing that with him.
Right. But I can't do that. I can't do that with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a man, as somebody that's mature and respectful, I can't just take that outside of me and my cousin.
Yeah, that's about the energy too. It's
You know
like
what I'm saying?
that. You have
No,
a
not
certain-
even the energy.
not the
I just
energy.
if
Well,
I
the energy
respect
that,
you,
the energy that he has with it.
I can't just look at you or talk to you and I know you be like, man, shut the fuck up. You don't want some bitch shit. I
Yeah,
can't. I can't
yeah.
bring that out of myself to do that because guess what? I just disrespected you. Why would I do that?
Right. Yeah, I'm not
The
on that
same
page.
way I
either.
can talk
You
to
said
my
what?
cousin.
I said I'm not on
can't
that
talk to
page.
you
I
the
don't.
same way. It's just I can't pull myself to do that.
Right.
Just being a
Me
man.
neither. Me neither.
You understand
I'm
what I'm saying?
I'm not that person.
Man, we could laugh, talk shit to each other and all that, you know what I'm saying? But I can't do that. You know what I mean? And
But it goes to
some people just too comfortable for me.
treat people how you want to be treated,
Right.
right? Like if I know that I don't want to be referred to bitch is a motherfucking
That's what girls do.
that girl.
For the most part, women
They
do
do
that.
that.
Women
like-
do that, right?
They do that like
They do that,
it's
but
okay.
it's,
like,
but as soon as
But it's
we
okay
do
to
it,
them.
it's like you calling them by their
bring
name.
a sandwich in this motherfucker.
Yeah,
Don't be calling me no motherfucker bitch. I was like, but your girl just did
It
it.
sounds like Samuel Jackson.
Bitch, come in, let me tell you something. This motherfucker sandwich and then drinking this something, bitch. What the fuck is wrong with you bitches? Oh, you gonna come in, bitch, in front of your, we can't do
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Cause then they be
sure.
like, then we gotta say,
Well, you know,
so your girl just called you a bitch about an hour ago, and it's fine. That's because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
it's a lot of double standard.
Yeah.
A lot of double
That's
standard.
life. Double
Yeah.
standards with all of this.
That's just
stuff.
like you can say, for example, like women, they can post in their bathing suit, right, all day on the gram, and you be like, "Yo, send me a picture of what you got on, and your bra and panties or whatever, right?" And they be like, "No." I be like, "Well, you just posting in a thong bathing suit all on Instagram. What's the difference?"
She
No, it's
thirsty.
lingerie. Da da da. Yo, their minds be warped. Their minds is warped.
She thirsty. She thirsty. She here for all of the drinks and stuff.
I just think we
The
got to
bottle
really,
poverty.
really, really hold certain people accountable for their actions, man. You know what I mean? I really think we do.
but you gotta hold yourself accountable.
First,
You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. Understanding that, again, you cannot control how somebody receives
yeah.
your language, your verbiage to them. So you can't hold somebody else accountable. You got to hold yourself accountable
First.
and be big enough to say, look, my bad, whatever that is, to break whatever that.
But you got to be self-aware. Most people don't
Yeah,
want to be self-aware enough.
yeah,
They think whatever they doing is the right thing. They might say, "Oh, they might brush it off with a fake an apology, which is not really effective because it's not genuine. We can all read through
Right.
fake versus what's genuine,
Right.
right?
But do you feel like sometimes when you take, I feel like sometimes when you hold yourself accountable, you gotta think about the consequences that come with that because, like, after you do something to somebody, it's up to them to decide
absolutely,
if they want to
absolutely.
forgive you for what you did.
And you can't control
You
that.
can't
You
control that.
can't control
Nope.
that,
You can
and
look.
and you gotta consequences come with accountability.
Yeah.
Because when you say something to somebody, you can't take it back.
Nope.
When you do
Said
something
is
to
said.
somebody, you can't take it back,
Yeah.
and you can't force that person to feel how you feel, or to your point, change the narrative, or be quick to forgive.
Yeah.
All you can do is say, "Yo, I fucked up, my bad," and let them go through whatever they going through. You can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
And controlling it is taking accountability and hoping that whatever spewed between you and that other person, whether it's friend or foe, that they understand and internalize it was no ill will, or they held themselves accountable to apologize for whatever it is.
And we
So
got
was it ever a time where you felt like you should have been held accountable, but you didn't want to take accountability?
Absolutely,
Yes. I
absolutely.
can't
sure.
say that.
That's mostly in relationships, right?
Yeah.
Because
You learn it fast because it's one on one. It's like it's you're dealing with someone that's at a deeper level than just at a job. This is like a person that I'm laying down with, somebody I talk to all the time. So those things you learn real quick.
Right.
It's there. Um, but I look at the things that we do know, and and at the point that we are, for us to have kids, we have to teach our kids that because we really gotta do this accountability thing, given to the younger generation. Because if not, they're gonna be lost. It's gonna be worse.
They
It's already
already
bad. It's
lost.
already bad now.
Yeah.
yeah,
And like our parents and our grandparents, they had a harder road. Now everything is super easy and super
accessible.
like accessible, and we living in a semi fake world, and it's not the same. And we need that old school teaching to strengthen it. They might hate it. It's like we had teachers in school that we hated, but then we got out, we loved them
Yeah,
because it's like, oh shit, I remember what Mr. So and so or Mrs. So and so did for us.
yeah.
And I think that these kids, they're missing that to a degree
Yeah,
from
because
what I
some of them
from
teachers, some of them
from what I can
teachers,
see.
yeah, because some of them teachers, man, that are like the old heads back in the day. Some of those teachers, we actually used them as we got older, and we remember
That's what I'm
the
saying.
old heads
Yeah,
teachers. You know what I
But
mean? We was like,
but
wow,
it was access, right?
yeah,
If you go out now, kids, now adults, right? They're reprimanded for something, for action, for a word that they said 20 years ago.
yeah,
And somebody captured that.
yeah,
They get mad at them or
yeah.
whatever. They want to get back to
that
them.
resentment is
And then they
crazy.
and then they post it. And then you like, yo, that was 20 years ago. How I felt at that moment, what I said, my thoughts, that's not who I am
Yeah,
now. But you got to be accountable for it and take the consequences from it,
so it's a
right?
lot of people that
You
might
can't
resist you.
post out there and say my bad and hope that everybody is going
No,
to forgive you.
they not.
Yep. Especially when shit become public.
Yeah,
It's hard
Oh,
to come back
Yeah,
from.
it's hard to come back from that.
everybody trying to put you on blast.
Shit.
everybody.
They want to see you. They want to
Social
see you
media.
drown in your misery.
Yep.
You know.
Media. That's
But a
how
lot of
social
times,
media is,
they're
man.
the person who's doing the action is really the miserable one.
No, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. They want to kick you while you're down, and we try to uplift people. We try to do the best for our kids, uplift them to make them great, and even the people around us. I want to talk about positive stuff. I don't want to talk about anything negative. I don't want to drag nobody down because it's not gonna help. What is that gonna help? It's not
Yeah.
gonna help anything.
Well,
So
So
what if you got a friend, right? And what do you do with that friend if you know within your heart that he's not being the father figure to his son, he's not doing the teaching that he's supposed to do to his son? How do you approach that situation as far as holding him accountable?
I can't personally say that I know anyone like that.
Okay.
Meaning I know people that have kids, but from what I can tell, from what I'm told or what I've witnessed,
Mhm.
for the most part, everybody's in good alignment. It might be somebody out there that I can't remember that might not be doing the best teaching to help build them, but for the most part, I don't really associate with people that's like that.
How would you do?
I don't
I
personally.
mean, I I can't be responsible for what somebody else did. Right? It goes back to a previous conversation we had. If you're not an asset, you're a liability. Like if you're not presenting yourself in a way where I want to be around you or I can trust you around my kids, I'm not going to have you there. If you're a deadbeat dad or a deadbeat mom, you know, I can't be responsible for your actions. You got to be responsible for your own actions. You can
Absolutely.
lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink, right?
Can't
So
force
for
no drink.
me, I try to align myself with people like minded where I used to be that dude that wanted 30, 40 dudes around me. But then I got older and I realized I don't know how all 30, 40 y'all are rolling.
You sound like a rapper.
But I'm just saying that's what it was, right?
I
I
never
would go
want.
to the club
I never
and I
wanted
got
that.
30 dudes around me.
Never
And
wanted
then
that.
I'm like, I can't be responsible for what you did. And then that energy is going to come towards me.
It
What?
will.
And that goes to you being a deadbeat dad. That's your decision. I can't be around you because
That's
whatever you're instilling in your children is either going to come back to my kids or they going to see something that I'm not teaching them, and that becomes a conflict with the way I'm raising my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm raising my son to be a better version than me.
Right.
That's my responsibility
Dig that.
because I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect, but my role and my responsibility is to make my son better than I was, and that's what I
that's
do.
that's that's all our goal.
I like
'Cause,
that.
That's what all our goals
yeah,
should be.
yeah,
You
and it's
know,
like stuff that we missed out when we were young. It's like, man, we got to give this to our kids and give them as much information. It's really about information
yeah,
and how to deal with your feelings and how to approach things. And as long as we give them information, 'cause I feel like I didn't have that. I felt
yeah,
like I had to learn this,
yeah,
Right.
because I'm on some super conscious stuff. So I'm like, I'm paying attention to a lot of stuff that we didn't have growing up. We didn't have social media. So it's like now I'm in search of the truth, in search of understanding, a search of stuff that I didn't know,
Right.
and then trying to reprogram my mind so I could re-give that to my kids. So at some point, we're not going to be here. It's
yeah,
going to
Right.
just be them.
yeah.
Right.
So if it's going to be them, let them leave with something. It's not about what you give your kids; it's about what you leave in them.
There you go.
And
There you
we
go. I like
and
that.
that's the purpose of this podcast, right? Is not only for our children, but for another young person who doesn't have that voice
Yeah.
in their head or that reasoning to say, yo, things could be better. Because if we did something wrong, we don't want to teach that same wrong to the
No,
next person, right? We
right.
want to present them the facts, the knowledge, so that way they don't have to go through that same lesson and they can move forward that, right? I tell
Facts.
my son all the time, let's continue to build so that way I can teach you more. If I have to keep reiterating what I taught you 3 months ago, I'm not putting you in the best position because I could be teaching you so much more.
There's also how someone learns.
Yeah,
It's like I deal with this with my youngest son. It's like I have to tell him different ways. Then actually have to show him
yeah,
and slow it down. But I want him to understand. Like I don't want to leave the situation until he really understands. And it's still a work in progress. It's
It's
still,
it's
you
hard.
know,
It's
young
hard
kids
because you
still a work in progress.
because you've obtained that. You expect or you hope that the person you're teaching that to, for them to grasp it like right away. And I had that problem. I really had that problem where I keep teaching my son the same thing, and I'm like, I get frustrated.
No, but at some
Like,
point,
why the hell you ain't get this? Like,
because
I'm telling
his
you,
mind is not as sharp and as
yeah,
experienced
yeah,
as yours.
You gotta just keep working on
So
it.
at some
That's
point,
it.
at
and
You gotta
some
keep
point,
working on
something is going to happen
yeah,
that's going to make it click in. He's going to remember something. You know, he's going to remember like, damn, my dad said this because he's experienced whatever situation that you're teaching him.
yeah,
At some point, just we have to do compound interest.
yeah,
It's like building money, compound interest. Keep compounding what it is. Don't get
yeah,
frustrated at the point that you told him 1,500 times.
yeah,
That next time you might tell him like, oh, I get it.
yeah,
I get it. So
I don't think I don't, I think a lot of us, I think us in general, well, I don't know, maybe not. I could speak for myself. Well, my mom, because my dad was really around like that, but my mom kept trying to install. All she was doing is install,
yeah,
trying to install,
yeah,
install.
because she saw what a man needed to be.
Yeah,
You understand?
and the fact that she, like he said, she got frustrated because it just didn't click.
hmm,
Like she wanted it to click, but eventually it clicked. You know what I mean?
It's almost like when you see the little Instagram post when the mother's standing there, son, what is 5 times 5?
yeah.
84. We
Jo-
just
Johnny got 4 apples.
apples.
Fred had 3. How many apples he had all together? God damn it, there's nothing wrong answer. God damn it.
Yeah,
Man, that jump was crazy,
You
man.
know,
But I got, but what?
go ahead.
I was gonna say I got a question. So like, what do y'all feel like? What patterns in your life keeps repeating itself because you refuse to address them directly?
That's a loaded question. Pattern.
That's a
Well, I feel in life you're presented that same lesson until you learn it, right?
Right.
And you get frustrated because you're like, how did I get myself back in this position? So I don't know if it's one subject or one situation that you can say you keep going into it, right?
Yeah.
With me, if I had to answer, it would probably be how I dealt with females,
Yeah.
right?
I think all of us.
But I'm just speaking in terms of me answering the question. You know, you June, my best friend, she would say, "Yo, you keep doing the same thing, and you keep getting the same result, but you looking for a different result."
Yeah.
So I had to finally internalize that and change not who I am as a person, but how I initiated those situations to hope to look for a different result, right? If you keep doing the same thing and you look for a different answer or result, that's
Yeah.
practicing insanity.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, my situation was dealing with females, right? Again, because I'm a giver.
Yeah.
That's who I am wholeheartedly. I will give, but then I kept getting the same result. So I'm like, shit, how do I be a giver but not give to the point where I'm getting the same result?
Yeah.
So now I
I
start
think it's
delaying it or not opening that checkbook immediately and seeing how they reacted to
I
that
think it's
situation.
understanding the person, the situation, and you can tell if somebody is genuine. It's something about it you can tell. After you do something 3 or 4, 5 times, you're like, okay, I have I have the information, I have the data, I can clearly see it. If I do it one more time, what's going to be the result, right? So I think with that, I mean, we've all potentially had the same. We can understand Jamal and what he's saying. I think it's just understanding early, having conversations early. Like December just basically saying on the last show that he says everything up front. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying, and give it to us so people would understand him as the man coming to talk about whatever. You at least understand what you're getting, right? And people that we deal with, male, female, they shouldn't always come with their hand out. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? And we all need something, and we all should give something. It's all about, you know, being and grateful for our time here on earth, but also be grateful to the people that's in our presence because
Yeah.
we all not going to be here. So we have to show, we all have to be, show gratification to what's going on because, Jamal didn't have to give me whatever. He didn't have to, you didn't have to give, whatever the case is, we should all respect one another
Right.
and really like respect the person at the time.
I
You know?
think for me, it's more so like the pattern in my life is one being optimistic for too long.
I'm
I
like
think,
that all day.
yeah,
That's my problem.
yeah, I feel
But
like,
if you're, that's a characteristic, right?
yeah,
And when you have an instilled characteristic, you can't change who you are
that's true.
I'm not trying.
because, but you are because you said I'm optimistic all day long. If you're either optimistic or you're
You're not.
pessimistic, right?
Right.
If you're optimistic, that's how you look at all situations in life, right?
True.
And that's not necessarily a good thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
That's just that's your outlook, and that's your take on how you want to see the good in every situation,
Yeah,
and that's who you are organically,
yeah,
right? Me being a giver, I'm not going to change me being a giver. I'm going to change how I give.
Right.
So you being optimistic,
Which is good.
always, it's a great thing.
yeah,
Always be optimistic. Always look for the best outcome.
Right.
You just got to be aware that the possibility of the best outcome isn't going to be
in your favor all the
in
time.
your favor all the
Yeah.
time,
I
right?
feel that. I feel that.
That's
I feel like
facts.
that. So I got another question, right? For all of us, who are you blaming right now that you secretly know needs to be that you need to stop blaming? Like internally. Like I feel like we all blame somebody for something. It could be like how you said earlier, your father wasn't around. You could be blaming him still to this day, and it's something that you've been internalizing that you might not need to do anymore. It could be your ex-wife, or it could be whatever you got going on. Like, do you feel like it's people currently in our lives or in your lives that we are still blaming for certain things?
It's
that
funny
we
you
should
say
stop?
that, right? Because for a long time, right, I pointed the finger and I blamed my dad a lot,
Yeah,
right, for not being in my life when I needed him.
right.
You know what I mean? As a young man, growing up as a young man, but I blamed him a lot um, because as a young man looking up to a father, like looking for his father. I think I was just looking for him for a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I had a reason,
Yeah,
but the good thing about what he did to me, well, he said to me, was he was like, man, I know I wasn't around a lot.
yeah,
He said, I want you to release that tension that you have from me because he said, one, I wasn't around you when you needed me. And I know that he said, remember, I was young. He said, you gotta also remember where I came from. My dad wasn't around, he didn't teach me anything.
right.
So him saying that and him saying I didn't know how to be a father, I didn't know what that looked like. You think I'm saying? For me, it released a lot because
He took accountability.
he took accountability.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I felt good about it. So that let me further say to myself, okay, now you need to let him be who he's supposed to be too.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I allowed that because when he said that, I was like, damn, that's deep
Yeah.
for a father to say to his son, and he's older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Well, at least he recognized it.
He
And
recognized
he
it.
came to you because
yeah,
he felt some sort of guilt.
because I asked him, I was like, Pop, let me ask you a question, man. where were you? And it's crazy. He was like, oh man, I went such. I said, no. Let me go back a little bit. Me as a kid growing up, as a grown man, where were you? And he just went on and said what he said, man, and he was very apologetic, very apologetic. And he said what he said. He was like, man, I didn't know. And I get it because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time.
You know what I mean? And for a man to say that to another man,
Right.
that's to send it to his son. That's big, bro.
And at what time did this take place? Was this like when you was in your 20s?
I was in my 30s.
You was in your 30s.
I was early 30, maybe 32, maybe
Okay.
31, 32.
How's your
maybe.
relationship with that situation now?
We good.
Okay.
We good. He still have some room for improvement.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Which we all do.
Yeah.
We all
As
do.
parents,
Yes.
as
Absolutely.
friends, as brothers, as whatever we are.
Yes.
Husbands, friends,
Employees.
wives, employees, whatever.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We all got room for improvement. But I was just proud that he was able to say what he said to me. And I received it. Because some people don't receive it. But I'm smart enough to understand fatherhood. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
knew what type of I knew what type of father my grandfather was.
Mm.
You think I'm saying? Like, he never told me no as a kid, but he told his kids no. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. What you telling me? You hungry? You talking to your mama? I ain't got no money. But it's crazy. He's never said that to me. Right there, you got 50 cents? Oh yeah, I got it. You hungry? Come in the going house, 50 something to eat. You know what I mean? Maybe that was his time of trying to change.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he never said no to me. You know what I mean? And it tripped my uncle out because my uncle was like, shh, and they always told me no. They didn't tell you no. Like, no, they never told me no. So, and it's crazy because my uncle, so I remember my uncle told me a story where back in the day, he had jury duty down at the courthouse, the
Okay.
court building in D.C. My grandfather was down there in a child support case, and my uncle didn't even know, right?
Right.
So he saw my grandfather that, and he was like, man, he said, hey, Pa, how you doing, man? He said, think I can get a couple hours to get something to eat? He said, man, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. He was like,
That's
I
his
ate
father.
on, and that's his father.
Right.
He's just telling me he ain't got no money. Like, I ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? And he walked away from his son. Like, God, you a bad nigga just to walk away from your son after your son asked you something to eat and you said you ain't got no money and you walked away. That's vicious. That's some vicious resentment.
Yeah.
In my
But
uncle,
it's also, he could be teaching him a way of life to not count on somebody for money.
That
could,
part.
You know
That's
what I
the-
mean?
but-
And that's,
but that nigga always was like that to them.
but there's no rule book on how to raise.
No, it's
somebody,
not.
right?
It's not.
And
That's what I
how-
try to tell my uncle because my uncle he dead now. My grandfather dead now, God rest his soul. But my uncle resented him
Yeah.
for that for years.
Yeah.
And I try to explain that to my uncle, like, you gotta forgive him.
Yeah.
Because we just sometimes as fathers, we just don't know, we don't know. How you know how his father was to him?
Yeah.
So that's when that's so in my church, we talking about breaking generational curse. You dig what I'm saying? So it's wild because like I told my uncle, like, you don't know how his father was.
Yeah.
He might even
That
bump
part.
back down to y'all to even tell y'all what type of father his father was.
Yeah.
His father probably was some shit to him.
Yeah.
But don't hold him accountable of saying, hey, I hold you accountable for telling me why you treated me like shit or how you treated us like shit. You know what I'm saying? And I need answers.
Yeah.
Which years later he gave them answers. Just like I guess years later my dad gave me answers because I asked. I'm a curious nigga. Like, nigga, I need to know why you don't like me. And I need you to tell me why you don't like me. And that shit gotta make sense.
It does. Have to make sense.
It gotta make sense. Like at this age and time, No, nigga, you gonna tell me why you don't like me, and it better make sense.
Yeah. So it's crazy you spoke on generational curses, right? And to your question, to question someone or to wonder why you are the way you are goes to the conversation we had touched on. What was that yesterday at the barbershop, right? Like generational curses depict and can change the whole outcome of how your upbringing is, right? And how you react a certain way, right? Me and my mom, we're thick as thieves,
Right.
but our conversation or how we communicate with one another is not the most effective way to communicate or how I communicate to my son.
Right.
But that's my upbringing, right? So immediately I default to how I communicate with me and my mom when we're in heated conversations to how I used to communicate with my son.
Yeah.
And I had to understand how you deal with someone else is not the default way how you deal with another person.
Yeah.
Right? So
Sure.
for me, your question is who do I hold? It's not a person because for a while, I held my father accountable, thinking I could hold him accountable for how he was with me.
Yeah.
I can't be responsible for another person's action,
At all.
right?
At all.
That helped define or help alter how I was going to be as a father, right? I was going to be present for my kids because I saw how my father wasn't present with me.
Yeah.
For whatever illness he had or for whatever life situation that was going on that prevented him from being present or for him doing whatever he did, I use that as a motivation to not be that way towards my kids.
Yeah. I think I had
Sure.
something similar, like and it kind of plays off what you say. It's like I feel like each generation tries to how they were treated by their parents rolls over into us, and then we try to take that and become better, but then sometimes we might miss the mark. Like with my brothers and my siblings, I'm the only child between my mother and father, but my
Me too.
siblings, my brothers by my father and my sister, I mean my two brothers and my one sister by my father, they resented me because I grew up with my father and my father wasn't present with them, right?
Right.
Like how he was present with me. For the reasons he was, he caught his ex-wife cheating, so he ended up taking his kids, moving them to South Carolina. I mean, moving them from South Carolina back to Baltimore, and then he was a single father, young, so he had to drop them with the grandmother in New York, and he was doing back and forth, as long as he could, but he wasn't fully present. Before my father passed, a couple years, like maybe not too long after college, I asked my mother, I like broke down one day in a car. And I was like, I felt like my father was a father, but he wasn't a present father, even though I grew up in a two-parent household. And she had to explain, like,
What type of job did he have?
he worked in healthcare, but he was like, he worked in healthcare, but it wasn't like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. He was like some type of technician or something, right?
Okay.
So I asked her, she said, you have to realize your father didn't finish high school. His mother died giving birth to their last brother.
Ooh, wow.
It was 9 or 10 of them. So they was walking to shoot. His father was a drunk. He was walking to school barefoot. He ain't learn how to read all the way. You know what I'm saying? So, and they didn't have food on the table. So to him, him giving me a hot meal and making sure I had money every day was the type of father he felt like he needed to be. He wasn't the father to be like, yo, I'm coming to the basketball game. I'm taking you to karate practice. Him is like, yo, I'm gonna wake up every morning and cook you a hot breakfast. I didn't realize this until I got older that niggas ate cereal for breakfast because every morning he woke up 5, 6 in the morning, made me grits, bacon,
Oh,
eggs.
yeah.
Your dad.
Yeah, my father. So that was his way of showing up to
Love
be
language.
his love language because he didn't have food growing up.
Yeah.
So once my mother put that into perspective, I actually let it go because I'm like,
You understood
dang,
that.
why when I had my karate matches he didn't show up? Why when I had baseball games he didn't show up? Why he wasn't there when my friends they like yo they out back hooping with their parents, with their dads and stuff. But I know I knew he loved me, but I just didn't know in which way. You know what I mean? Like he gave me my first car. He taught me how to drive. So he did certain.
He did his
Yeah,
thing.
He did his thing in
he
a way,
did
but
what
I
he
just
did
didn't.
what he know.
I
He
just
did
didn't
what he knew.
understand it
Yeah.
because I'm like,
Well, that's good that your mother.
Yeah.
That's good that your mother broke that down to you.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's good that you had that because a
Yeah.
lot of people they ain't got that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's cool.
Yeah,
Kudos. Take my hat off the moms, man. That's
yeah. So
kudos,
it just
for
took a
real.
while to kind of understand those specific concepts and like, now to me because I know he wasn't present. If I have a kid, I know I want to be at because that was the part that was missing.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, I gotta be at every game. I gotta take my kid here. I gotta teach them certain things, and my kid might grow up and be like, well, you didn't give me money every single time. You didn't do this, this, and this. And they're going to take that and then teach and then show love in a different way that they feel like they didn't get it. So, like, I feel like for my generation, I feel like my generation was the most fatherless generation. So, all of my homeboys are like great fathers because none of them had fathers in their lives. So, I feel like it's just
So hopefully we dove into a whole lot. Um, hopefully somebody receives it. That's our purpose. That's my purpose. It's for someone to hear a message, hear a perspective, and get a grasp of there's no rhyme or reason why something happens. You can't hold somebody else accountable for your actions, for their actions. You can only be accountable for your actions. Thank you for listening. Xhale in the Xhale Lounge. We out.
we out. Follow us on
Instagram,
Instagram.
TikTok, YouTube Live. Like, subscribe, love, share.
Share. What's your social media?
Prince_DMV.
GQ_bar_lounge.
December Moon SDCENLVR folks. So it's no D. It's no E in between the D and the C. And I'm not pro DC.
Baltimore, baby. Baltimore, baby.
Baltimore.
Baltimore, baby.
You too.
You two, earn, and earn.